So our whole freaking, I told you we're remodeling the upstairs.
Yeah.
This place is just nothing. We tore out all the tile, all the cabinets, everything is just gone. The carpet, the couches, everything. So I'm coming to you live from my bed, which is chill.
That's extra chill. Yeah, that's true.
And you told me that you hacked my computer and you're watching me the whole time. But did you happen to see me put up that picture behind me to make it seem more interesting?
No, I didn't.
Because it was like barely teetering on the edge of my bed, and I was like, "Oh, this better stay." 2 seconds later, oops, would have been sick if you saw that anyway.
Yeah, that's too bad. You can see we've got our Christmas tree up.
You festive mofo's.
Yeah, Maddie literally on November 1st at like
Really?
as soon as Halloween is over, she's like, "Okay, I'm getting it. I'm putting it up. Let's do it." So she's one of those.
Thanksgivingers.
Yeah,
Dang. I mean, it looks good. Looks great.
it's festive.
Speaking of looking great, your Airbnb little ad thing looks awesome.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah,
We got a professional photographer to come in and take pictures of it and stuff.
yeah, that's awesome. Also, I was a big fan of the Carol Baskins cheetah print rug.
Yeah,
And that's a nice addition.
we knew that that was trendy, and
Very
so we're trying to get like kind of like any Tiger King,
right.
kind of
Yeah,
spill over to come in and check it out. So,
that's a good call.
did you see that she was on Dancing with Stars?
The murderer herself, Carol Baskin.
Yeah, Carol Baskin was straight up on. I didn't watch it, but I saw like
Dang.
all the like what thumbnails for
Oh,
the articles. I was gonna say I read articles, but I never actually read any articles. I just like see the thumbnails
yeah,
and
just
just like assume it's true.
in. Um, that's funny. That means Brandon probably's like chatted with her a little bit.
Yeah, they probably kissed.
Probably they're probably lovers.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
Yeah, same.
Actually, did you hear what happened to Brandon?
Like his partner had to get emergency surgery or something.
Yeah, I saw it on the news too. It like was one when like you get a notification from the news,
Yeah.
which is like breaking news. Turns out it's just like random stuff now. Like I got one the other day that's like try these 11 holiday recipes. I'm like that's not really breaking news, but hey, I'll try them.
Never to eat. They kill your testosterone, and it's like bananas and blueberries.
Yeah, and it like sends me a notification, but it sent me a notification for Brandon and was like the news app and, and was
Weird.
like Dancing with the Star uh participant, whatever her name was, emergency throat something. I'm like, that's crazy.
Huh. Um, I don't have this news app. My grandma Lee, Carlene, she keeps me updated on all of the most breaking news with Dancing with the Stars. Like, did you see your friend Brandon on tonight? They did so good. I'm nervous about the vote coming up for him, but I think they got it. Like every week, she would text me and give me the update on Brandon, which is pretty funny.
Your grandma posted something the other day that was like the most grandma thing ever. Maddie showed it to me. It was like there comes a time in your life when you just you'd rather just stay at home, sip some hot cocoa, and be around the people you love.
That's been her like routine her whole entire life. Like her parents raised her in a way like, now you just need to be a good, because it was back then. You need to be a good stay-at-home wife. Like this is the duties you need to do, and you need to look cute in your apron and have dinner ready when David gets home, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's always been like that. And like my mom, I remember my mom has told me so many times how frustrated she's gotten with her mom because they'd go on like really cool road trips, and there's like a scenic view that's like a 10-minute walk out to this thing. She's like, no, I'm okay, I'll just stay in the car. And my mom would get so frustrated with her because my grandpa, he was like all about that kind of stuff, and he was this like a scout troop leader for my mom's whole growing up. And my mom was always so mad that the boys always got to do way cooler stuff than the girls
Hmm.
for their activities and stuff. But pretty funny.
I know it's funny how like you learn something maybe when you're either a kid or like right when you're becoming an adult, and then you just stick to that
Yeah.
forever. You
Yeah.
know,
Like my grandma still, she doesn't know how to swim because it wasn't ladylike or whatever.
it's so weird that like you hit an age and you don't keep evolving. You know, like
Yeah.
kids that grow up right now, like that are teenagers,
Right.
like every week they're like, oh, I got a new app and now I'm on TikTok and now I'm like trying this and I'm gonna become an influencer and I'll be a podcaster and I'll be this. All right, you know what? Whatever, I'll go to college. No, I won't. You know, like they're always just like changing and changing and changing. And then
Yeah.
you hit like kind of our age, actually, like mid 20s to 30s.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you're just like, I guess this is the way I am now, and I will just never change,
Yeah.
never get a new skill, and then just, like I'm 50 years old and I'm still wearing the same style and I'm still talking about the same
It's
thing.
good. Future vintage, like your great style line you came up with.
That is a good point. If you have great style, why change it?
Exactly.
Maybe
Why
you just found the perfect stroke.
the eternal style fashion? Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, dude, that's why like we've talked about this before, but that's why I totally want to try my very best to be like the Dos Equis guy. Like, just be super good at like freaking lifting weights, and then be super good at like gardening, and then like woodwork or like embroidery, just all these different things. Because like my dad, his favorite hobby is like watching the game, and I'm like, oh, I haven't watched the game in like so long.
Yeah. I just I really like the idea of like not being predictable, like to someone. Like if someone just met your dad, they
They
would probably be able to
unpredictable.
like predict pretty accurately what he's going to say and what he's going to do depending on the situation. Like, oh yeah, well he likes football, so he'll watch football game. Probably not going to go do hopscotch. Probably not going to go cook like a gourmet meal.
Yeah.
um it's cool. One thing that's really cool about your dad though is that he's so into reading.
That
That kind of like breaks the paradigm, I guess, a little bit. But it's cool when like you get surprised by someone.
yeah, you're like, wait, what? You like are into astrology and you have like a charting like painted ceiling of your astrology stuff or something like that. Like, oh, that's sweet.
Especially
Um,
when they're like opposites. Like when you see someone that's like super into the like powerlifting, masculine, beard, guns, and like booze
yeah,
world.
yeah,
And so you kind of like your brain just like fills in the blank and you're like, okay,
yeah.
let me guess, you drive this car.
Like
Let me
all
guess, you follow these pages.
wings. Yeah,
And then like they surprise you and they like knitting or something, and like it makes you like them even more than someone who just likes knitting or someone that just likes the powerlifting, because you're like, oh, like how are they're
right.
breaking the mold.
Or like every weekend they're like part of like some super awesome like symphony and play like the tiniest little like violin and they're like, "Ugh."
Like the guy in Tangled, like the
Yeah,
little tiny unicorns. Ding.
yes, exactly. Speaking of, one time when we went to Disneyland, I know you guys are huge fans of Disneyland.
Thanks.
Am I? But we went and they have, I don't know if they still have it because I haven't been there in a while, but it was like the Western theme, like little restaurant bar thing. And you could go in and like sit down and order food, and then they have like the old school like showgirls with like the like kicking line, and then they have people like playing the banjo, kind of like a
Hmm.
talent show like of the old west type
Hmm,
thing.
that's cool.
Anyways, it was like this little group of like people playing instruments like banjo, guitar, or violin, and like the cello or something. And they're like, all right, for our next like song, we're gonna have somebody come up and play our violin for us. And they're like, we're taking volunteers, and we all volunteered. My dad, and they're like, yeah, we'll pick this guy. So, anyways, they pull out this violin, and it's like a fourth the size. So the violin's like this big, and my dad's like, what? And so he's like doing this thing and like doing like a knee thrust, like ding ding ding.
I wish I could have seen that. Did you film it?
No, that was before we had any type of phone filming capability, sadly. Which is weird to even say that. That makes me feel like old as crap.
I know. It's
But
like when my parents say stuff like like black and white TV, or like we didn't have a dishwasher, or like we didn't have the internet. Like,
Like
oh
we
my
watched
gosh.
the moon landing. Like, what the? How old are you?
And we're finally starting to become those people. Like, not that bad. Like, we're only in our 20s, but you can feel it when someone's like, you have a TikTok? I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh, how old are you? What's wrong with you?
Is that like tic tac toe? Like, what are you talking about?
Like,
Yeah.
when I was in high school, we didn't even have smartphones. Like,
Dude,
oh
speaking of
man.
this, speaking of old stuff, that you're gonna love this. I just found
Yes.
today that it is the 24th birthday of Space Jam, which is sick.
It's the 24th birthday. So it came out in, it's like my same age almost.
96, yeah, 1996.
When is the new one coming out?
I don't know, but freaking forget LeBron, man. I
I
remember
know.
they've announced the Space Jam, I swear, since we were like sophomores in high school. Like, they're gonna do another Space Jam with LeBron. And it's taken 1,000 years. And I've just, like, honestly, have lost my love for like team sports pretty much. And especially LeBron. I'm just over him. He's just
I
crazy.
know. I'm getting so sick of like the righteous NBA and the righteous NFL and like them just like it's just so like a little political is fine, but
Yeah.
it's like gone so far down the deep end that like you forget that you're even watching a game.
Exactly. It's like, is this a political debate or are we watching a football game right now? It's
I know. Do you ever watch Bill Burr?
I know who he is, but I've never like really watched anything about him.
He has the funniest like stand-up bit about this. He's
Oh,
like he's like, dang, women are like taking over football. He's like, they have, they've got all the guys dressed up in pink for for breast cancer awareness. And he's like, listen, I'm all about breast cancer awareness and I'm all about like finding the cure. And he's like, in the middle of a football game, like at halftime, they come out and they have all the football players. They like they take a microphone in the middle of the game or like say a name like Amelia Clark. That's who I know who has breast cancer. And they give to someone else and like, so and so, that's who I know who has breast cancer. He's like, listen, that's great. But this like not the time and place. Like, can you imagine if we're in the middle of a movie and I like pause the movie in the movie theater? I'm like, by the way, my sister has breast cancer. And you're just like, well, like it's a good thing. Like it's a positive thing to want to have awareness to and whatever, but it's just like you can't just like be throwing that stuff in every setting because it doesn't work. It like feels forced and it doesn't fit the energy, you know?
it almost like kind of cheapens like the movement because it's like, okay, I don't know, it should be more like, I guess, serious than just thrown in, yeah, like anything, like you said.
Yeah, like we interrupt your Chuck E. Cheese broadcast to like talk about breast cancer awareness, you know? It's like
10 pennies a day. That's
yeah, oh my gosh. I wonder how do those like how many donations do you think those things get? Like the dogs with like the wink like the janky eye, you know, and like
I don't know. Probably a decent amount. I remember, um, well, I remember like one time. I don't know if you remember this. We were watching. Remember Dudesons in America?
Dudesons, the guy that's like release the beast.
Yes, those three guys from like Sweden or whatever, and they would just do all this crazy stunts and like hurt themselves, and just like a giant joke of a show. So we were watching that one time, and it was on late TV, which the ads are cheaper and whatever, so that's probably why. But it was like in the arms of an angel. And but it was
Like turns and the dog's like, you know,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
half its face is like burnt off like Two Face.
But this one was like for like Holocaust survivors, and they're all just ancient as ancient kids, and they're just like not even saying anything. But I was just like, this is not the time. We were just laughing at these guys like freaking cattle prodding their sides, and now you like have this.
I know, like I honestly feel like this is like one of the problems with the culture today, like the woke culture, is like, okay, a lot of the stuff you're saying is right and is good, but like you're walking into a barbecue telling everyone like about chemotherapy, and it's just like, there's a right, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then the argument to that is like, well, don't isn't it important? Like, don't you care? Like, yeah, but you're making people like you're creating a habit for people to be like, look the other way, because like you don't want to be burdened with that kind of stuff when you're in the middle of something that's not related to that. It's like getting an ad, and you don't want to create an association in people's head with an important cause that
Yeah.
they should change the channel. It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Weekends in America.
yeah, exactly. Because it's just like, I guess we're not watching something fun anymore. Like, everyone can be serious and support causes, but not at the same time that they're watching Dudesons in America.
Yeah, that's very true.
I also think a lot of companies really want to be seen as like, and TV shows and just people in general, they want to be seen as like the good, righteous person. And so they're just like packing in everything with like a cause. And it's really cheapens it, I think, if they do it too much. Like the occasional one's fine, but
Right.
like we care. Have you seen this ad? It's like, we care so much about the coronavirus, and it is like, it's such a big tumultuous time, and we want to make sure that America is healing, so we're offering 2 for $5 potato sliders at Taco Bell this week. Like, that doesn't help.
It makes sense. Or it would be like, what's like the most ridiculous show on TV? What comes to my mind is like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Like you're watching The Bachelor and they're all just ridiculous, and then like the most whack chick who's just crazy on The Bachelor. It's like, and I would like to take this moment to bring awareness of, you know, lost dogs or something, and you're like, what the crap?
It has a lot more to do with that person wanting to seem like a good person than actually bringing awareness. So that's what's annoying about it, because people can see through that. And they're like, yeah, you're not really bringing awareness. You just want us to look at you as a hero,
Yeah.
and you
Or
might
like
not even care.
get him a bigger like fan base or something somehow, which not with me. Not with
I think that it happens so much now that people are like so sick of that. Like, every influencer's Instagram is just like, I just like support all the little people, and like I support like everyone, and I just like love everyone. So subscribe to my OnlyFans,
me. Yeah.
because like
It's like this.
1 cent out of every dollar is going towards Tunisia to
Yeah.
deworm orphans. Like, I guess I gotta subscribe.
If I'm a good person and I care about deworming orphans, I guess I got it.
Honey, listen, I don't even enjoy this. Okay. I'm not even looking. It's just the orphans.
I promise. Get those worms out of here. Oh man.
That booty blaster is not even important to me. I just don't want those orphans to have to deal with that.
Oh man. Bitch. Yeah. What
um,
Arizona life, man?
dude, it's good. This is a good time to be in Arizona.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
depending
apparently
on.
white Christmas. How do you feel about that?
So it's weird. The first time I didn't have a white Christmas was on my mission in Brazil. And it was so weird because, like, well, first off, obviously it's super hot. It's the hottest day of my whole mission was Christmas Day. It was like 115. Um, but it's weird how much like the vibe changes when it's hot outside. Like, rather than like cozy up and have hot chocolate, you're like outside doing hot dogs and hamburgers and fireworks. And
A Fourth of July type Christmas.
yeah, it was in Brazil. Here it's like, well, they kind of like pretend like it's somewhere cold.
Right.
Like, it's funny. We have like the flocking on our tree, so it looks like there's snow, and like people come over like for a Christmas party, and we'll have like no one has fireplaces. We do, because this is an old house, but there's like, because there's no reason, because it never gets cold. But they'll like get their TV and put like the Yule log. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And so like it'll like feel like we're like, they'll have hot cocoa and like all the normal Christmas snacks, but it's like sunny outside. Like you can go swimming. You know, it's weird.
Speaking of Yule log, one time we me and Sophie, we had like just gotten back from like the Diamond Fork hot springs,
Mm-hmm.
and like last winter, and it was freezing outside, and it was still like the middle of the day. We're like, let's just take a quick nap. Okay, cool. What's gonna like something that put us to sleep? Oh, the freaking Yule log. So we soaked up the Yule log on my TV, and then like we both fell asleep, and then like a half hour later, both of us just wake up like sweating. And I think our brains like tricked us with like you're right next to a fire, like it's super hot. So we both woke up like it's so hot in here, like this
That's
fire, man.
interesting.
Yeah, it was super weird. Both of us were just like, what in the world? It was yeah, it was really freaking tricky, man. Brain
Still,
tricks.
stuff like the Yule log makes me think. You know, like someone thought of that, and now that has like a billion views on Netflix or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
there's tons of stuff like that on YouTube that people are making like a crap ton of money off some super silly like ocean sounds. Like
Yeah.
if you YouTube ocean sounds to go to sleep or like whatever, like there's literally you can YouTube anything. Like you can YouTube someone telling me that I'm a great metal worker so I can be ready for my first day at the metalworking job, and it has like 10 million views, and you're like, why did I not think of that? You know?
Like there was this guy, I don't know his name, but he's like one of the most famous YouTube guys.
Uh huh.
But honestly, it's the lamest stuff. Like one video that has like one of his most views, he like counts to like a million or something.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Mr. Beast.
Yes, it's like 3 hours of him just counting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? I don't understand who's even watching that kind of
And it
stuff.
has like 100 million views, and he's like makes millions of dollars off it. He has
Yeah,
one where he
I
goes,
get 10 hours of like epic sax guy. I understand that. That's great content.
"We're taking the hobbits
But
to Isengard." Well, I mean, like if I have 10 hours to spare, you know, but usually I'll just throw in like an hour or two, and I'm good.
yeah, yeah, your morning routine.
Listen to that in the shower. Da, 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 da.
You're just grooving the whole time in the shower, your hour-long shower too.
I wonder if you did like a 10-hour podcast, if people would watch it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Um. So there was. I just listened to this. These two different TED Radio Hour podcasts, and they were super cool. And I think you would love them.
Yeah.
One was about like, okay, copy me with the stretch. Why don't you? The
I know.
people.
As soon as you did that, I've been doing this to crack my wrist. Actually, you grab it like
Oh,
this, you pull it behind your head, and you just like, oh, it
uh-huh.
didn't crack. That almost cracked my neck off. Okay,
Um.
sorry to interrupt the
Yeah.
program.
This program is brought to you by Buddha Chiropractic. Um. No. Anyways, so podcasts.
Yeah.
One was about like the importance of sound and the importance of just like silence.
Mm-hmm.
And um, it was super interesting. So
Hmm.
there was a composer who was a really big time composer. This was like in 19 like 52 or 53. I forget what the name of the piece is, but basically all that happens there's just a piano on the stage, and the pianist comes out and the composer's there and does this like tick tick tick, and then the pianist like opens the piano, sits down, and that's just it. He doesn't play, he doesn't anything. It's just like quiet for like all three of like the movements or whatever, and he'll
Mm-hmm.
just movement changes, he'll close the piano and open it again, and it's just like all quiet. And when they like newspapers or whatever came out, but like he's throwing away his career for like this silly stunt and whatever, but his intention was just like, no, it's like, because sitting for 4.5 minutes is just like silence, that's like a long time.
Yeah.
um but his intention was to just be like, no, like there's music like all around you, you just like have to pay more attention to it, even though if there's not like technically like music being played. So that's what like it was all about, and I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah.
And then it was like it was talking about it talked about this one lady who she like kept losing her hearing loss over time, and then finally she was just like straight up deaf. She couldn't hear anything, and she got the cochlear implants in her brain, and those things are crazy. So she could turn it on or off whenever she wanted, which she loved. She said she like would just she couldn't wait to get home from work so she could just turn it off and not hear anything,
Hmm.
because she said that when that happens, um it's like your brain is just powerful enough that it like gets the context of like whatever you're watching or just your situation. Like if you're outside and you see a train pass by or whatever, your brain is just strong enough that you like remember those sounds, and then those sounds just automatically play. So it's like you're writing your own story of sound in your brain, and it's whatever you want it to be, which I thought was so cool. Like it's similar to like I don't know, like reading Harry Potter, and then like, okay, Dudley, you imagine Dudley looks like this in your brain, and you imagine like Malfoy just looks like a little scrawny like kind of punk or whatever, and then you see it in real life, and you're like, well, it's close to what I was imagining, but like you're just making up exactly how you want it, which I thought was so interesting to do with like sound and stuff. That was really cool.
That is interesting. I know, like, if I listen to like an episode of something that I've seen, it's almost like I'm watching it because your brain fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
Like Maddie will just play The Office while we're cleaning or anything, and it's just like it's the same as watching it. You know, like your brain is just like, oh yeah, I can remember every little detail because I'm hearing it. It's crazy.
I was gonna say The Office too because I've just like put that on while same thing while I'm like I did it yesterday while I was working remodeling this dude's house, and I just put it on and I'm just like laughing my head off because same thing, I can see exactly like what Kevin's face looks like, or how Dwight like reacts to Jim's prank or whatever. That's it's really pretty cool
It's
actually. Your
probably
brain is
good for you too.
yeah, like a little mental exercise.
Have you ever listened to a movie that you haven't seen? Like you do you only listen to it?
No, I haven't. Have
I
you?
I've done it for like random reasons, like
Oh,
if I'm driving and someone's watching a movie in the back seat, like I know we did that on like road trips as a family. Like if I'm the one driving and they're watching a movie, like I've listened to. I'm trying to remember the movie. I think it was Time Traveler's Wife or something like that. You ever seen that?
okay. Uh-uh.
And I've never. I think it's that. It doesn't matter, but it's really interesting to do it because like it's kind of a weird combination of your imagination and like an actual production because there's like
Right.
the music at the right place when you're supposed to feel sad, and like you can hear the actors' voices and you can hear the drama and whatever, but you get to like fill in the blanks. So in a way it's kind of more exciting because you're not just like, oh, that's it. You're like the
Right.
place, the scene can be as big or as dramatic or as crazy as you want. You just like you like end up kind of going to a trance listening to a movie. It's kind of weird.
It is interesting. Um, yeah, that's cool. But what was I gonna say? I don't remember. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was so cool. And she said, like, yeah, she just like I don't know, enjoys having them off all the time. Also, she said something that I thought was so cool that I didn't know. But you can Bluetooth your phone to her implants, and so music doesn't even really play, but her like the bones in her ear just like vibrate. So music's not playing, but that's what music does through the airwaves, is makes your ear vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just those vibrations in her ear, and she can just hear like a whole concert in her head, which is
What?
so cool. Yeah,
That's
amazing. Uh,
crazy.
she said she went to her friend's concert just to be nice. Didn't really like the music, and it was 3 hours long, this concert. And she said she just turned on the Beatles and was just jamming to the Beatles inside of her head the whole time, pretending to be into the music that was being played on stage.
I heard
But
that I saw a video or something the other day that I guess uh, music and sound memory is different than like other memory. And
Yeah.
so people with Alzheimer's a lot of times can remember music and it'll like actually bring back memories, stuff like that.
Yeah. I actually just saw a video on Facebook yesterday of this chick that looked like she was 1,000 years old, and she used to be a ballerina,
Oh
and
yeah.
she did you see that one? And
I
she was
saw
like
that someone posted it, but I didn't watch it.
she was in some like huge like production on Broadway or something, and she has Alzheimer's, and they like play the music, and then she kind of like comes back to like her normal self or remembers the moves. I didn't watch the whole thing, but that's just crazy. But it's true though. Like I always like when we went to Washington. Whenever any M83 song comes on, but in particular outro comes on, I'm right back in that spot in the back in like the third row of the van, leaning my head against the wall. Paul's driving through the rain, and I'm just like remember like getting the chills. Like, man, this is one of the last times I'm gonna be with all of my buddies, and I'm like right back in that spot, which is pretty incredible that music can do that.
It's crazy. Music and sometimes smells can like take
Yeah,
you to your childhood.
yeah.
It's weird. It
Uh,
makes you wonder what your brain can do, you know?
seriously, um, and like I think they which seems weird because you would think visual would be like you could remember stuff a lot more visually just because it seems easier that way.
Well, I think
Um
there's just so much too. Like
there
visual, you're
is.
taking in like everything all day.
So but like I'm pretty sure smell and like your hearing music or whatever like triggers your memories a lot more than anything that's like visual, which is really interesting.
And I've had a weird feeling. I smelled something. This was like a couple months ago, and it took me back to like I think right before I started junior high or something like that. And we had just moved, and
Maybe
it
like
like
your Steve basketball socks or something.
yes, yeah, like Axe body spray. And
Like on freaking tortilla chips in the locker room.
yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually even earlier than that. It was like before I started sixth grade or something. We had just moved, and we had moved to a brand new house, and we didn't have our stuff yet. We like moved, and we were about to start school, so it was a new house, new neighborhood, new school. And I remember having this feeling, and it was really hard to describe a feeling, right? Because it wasn't like an emotion; it was just like it was like a specific color of a feeling. You know what I mean? And anyway, I don't know how else to describe it besides like it was how I felt at that exact moment. It wasn't like sad or anything or excited, but I completely had forgotten that I had ever felt that because I smelled something like a couple months ago. It was like a new house or something like that that took me immediately back.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this part of me was like grasping at that, it was like kind of sad. It was like, oh, like, oh, that's how I used to feel when I was a kid. Like, come back, like, oh, like it was so funny.
that
um
is.
i didn't i didn't even realize that I like missed it. It's like a blind guy who sees for a split second is just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It was
Yeah,
really weird and like exciting.
that's weird. Um, that like, have you seen like they've done it with like the ones that I've seen anyway are like a super like lovey-dovey romantic movie, or even a better example is like a horror movie, and then they just take out all the music. They just take out the music, and like the music adds so much to like how you should feel in this certain scene,
Hmm.
which it's so that people are that good at like audio, they can just make you feel terrified with like some really like shrill like violin like Insidious, for example. The Tiptoe by the Window song that's like very just eerie and creepy, even though it's kind of like a happy jolly song if you just listen to it without the like horror movie context, but with that you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so unsettling.
Yeah, it makes you wonder like how many things these days, like YouTube videos or political videos or whatever, are messing with your brain just because they're so good at that. Like,
Right.
I saw this video, it was a parody. It was a fake video that came out about like it was about putting milk in cereal, right? It was like the most obvious thing. And it was like doom doom doom. It was like, millions of millennials are discovering the new way to have breakfast in the morning. And it was like slowly pouring the milk, and then it was like 94% of people say they've used cereal in the last 3 weeks. And it was like for a
Okay.
split second my brain was like, oh whoa, what's happening, what is this? And then I realized it was a joke, but it was actually a real video about how easily you can be manipulated. And so like
Yeah.
when a video comes out that's like, whatever, Trump or
Yeah.
Biden or whoever is just like, Joe Biden has spent millions of taxpayer dollars on blah, blah, blah.
Right. Right.
Like, who cares? Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But like the music usually,
It's
like, that must be
like
bad.
kind of, yeah. Like I saw this one Trump ad, and it was hilarious. So it was all like animated, and it was Joe Biden at first, and there was no music, and he was on, an Oh Brother, the black guy who's on the train thing that you got to like crank up and down. So
Yeah.
Joe Biden on one of those, and it's just like and there was like nothing, and then you hear like a brr, brr, and then the song Electric Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that song Electric Avenue. And then so that comes on, and it's like this huge like steam engine Trump train like coming in, and he's like honking the steam horn like he's like, we're gonna blow Biden out of this election. But I remember like getting so like amped. I'm like, yeah, because I love that Electric Avenue song. And I also think trains are pretty cool. So I was like, yes, this is my
It's crazy, like whoever is the best marketer could literally like be the president. Like the next person could just be
yeah.
like The Rock or Kanye or whoever. I think politicians are finally realizing like, oh crap, like we've just been like talking about like policies and like being boring and just like being like professional robots that
Right.
now they're gonna come. I bet next election is just gonna be like a shiz show. It's just gonna be like
Like freaking Ariana Grande versus like Kevin
J Lo.
Hart.
Like
Yeah, I know.
seriously, in Brazil, that's a lot of the elections are actually like that.
Really.
Not all the elections, but so I was there during election year, and I don't even know what they're running for. Partly because I didn't know what the words meant, and partly because I didn't really care that much. But like there'd be all these people campaigning. They'd drive around in like a costume. Like I remember one specific guy was in a clown costume and was like he was the running, and he was on top of like a pickup and would drive through town and get out of the car with like all these ladies in like thongs and feathers and just like dance and be like, vote for Ijailson. And we're like,
Right.
I'm
Like a
like,
little miniature like Mardi Gras.
yeah, and I'm like, why would I vote? Well, okay, well, I can see it. Yeah, okay.
All right. He's
Like
got
at
my
first, you're like, no, I don't think so. Like, I wouldn't vote for this. Well, okay, I can see it. I'll do it. He does have some pretty good policies. I don't know, whatever.
missionary clothes are just like tearaway, and you're like, we're just wearing like a speedo, like, yeah.
Oh man, like just like do the mambo with him all the way to the White House.
Yeah. All the way to the voting ballot. All right.
I don't even know what up. Whatever, man. At least he's got a sick vibe.
Do the conga line all the way to the polls. Dang, dude, we should run for some kind of office. We know how to get the people.
Dude, we've cracked the code. It's that easy.
That's that easy. Oh man, that's funny.
Especially with like social media and YouTube and everything now, you can seriously like mess with people's brains. I haven't watched that Social Dilemma. You told me to watch it. I should watch it.
There's some parts, so it's like they talk to like real people who work for like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, whatever. And they're talking about like what actually kind of goes on behind the scenes type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have like a dramatized like little like storyline of this family. That part's super cheesy with the family. But like all the other like information from like the actual people, it's really good and it's also really frightening at the same time
Yeah.
because it's like it just talks about pretty much how the algorithms are so that they just want to keep you on the ad, so they're showing you things that you're going to that appeal to you.
Mm-hmm.
um they're not showing you like the other point of view that like you don't really agree with or whatever, because they want you to just keep scrolling and seeing ads.
Right.
So you're basically creating this own reality of whatever your point of view or whatever you like, that's the only thing you see, which is like really dangerous because then you like, because everyone has their own little like world that they're creating,
Mm-hmm.
and then people can't see eye because they're like, what are you talking about? Like, I haven't seen any news reports on this, or I haven't, which is like, and then people get super passionate about it because they're like just ingraining themselves with all this stuff. It's pretty like, it's pretty terrifying, I'm not gonna lie.
It messes with you. I've noticed that even like I follow a conservative page, and all of a sudden
Yeah,
I've got like 10 conservative pages on my recommended, and then everything I'm seeing is kind of like the same shade of, perspective. They're all like they're not all the same, but they're all at least conservative. And then pretty soon you're like, wow, like everyone is conservative these days, I guess. And
yeah,
that's why both sides were surprised in the election that there was so much support for the other side, because they're like, what are you talking about? Like everyone's Trump supporters these days.
exactly. And then that's where all the like tons of the like, oh, voter fraud, oh, whatever, which who even knows if that's come true. But like if you're ingrained in like, oh, everyone loves Trump or everyone loves Biden, then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, well, there must have been some kind of cheating in some way, which I don't know. But even like the stuff that like the side I lean more towards, which is obviously conservative, it's like I just get so sick of the bull crap. Like the stuff that you're like, okay, that's probably they're probably like stretching the truth there. Like
Yeah.
maybe 40%, maybe 60% of truth, but the rest is kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I should believe that. And the sucky thing is like lots of people just like fall for that. I'm sure I have fallen for that at many times, but
Hmm.
some people like fall for that kind of stuff, not seeing the whole truth kind of thing.
Well, it makes sense. Like I know for sure I've fallen for it. In fact, I've caught myself being like thinking things like that. Like, oh, you think that? No one thinks that anymore. Like, actually, I just don't follow people that think that way. So I've tried, like I've intentionally tried to follow, like I follow Bernie Sanders. Um uh Even though he
Yeah, in Back to the Future, right? The
no,
Mason.
he's actually crazy old Maurice from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay, yeah, Burn. That's right.
Belle's dad, who's like gets stuck and's got like the weird contraptions. Yeah, I'm glad he's doing well. I follow like anytime I try to do that, but it's hard because you want to like attach, because in my mind at least, I'm like, there is something that's true, right? And something that actually happened. And so if I'm always hearing two different things, then it just leaves you like, whoa, so there is no truth, like. And so your instincts want to tell you, like, at least choose one, like if the conservatives are telling me this thing is true and the liberals are telling me this thing is true, and I can't just sit in uncertainty, just like, I guess we don't know. And you hear like the opposite. It like messes with your brain if you hear it too much. It's like the economy is doing great. The economy is doing terrible. And so like, I think it's natural to just like pick one, even though it's very
Yeah,
harmful, because like you just want to like be certain, even if maybe it's not true. You want to be
yeah,
certain at least of the lie. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's true. There's like a weird like false sense of security. Like, oh no, yeah, this is right. Cool. Like
Yeah.
Corona, that thing, sweet, cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna because it's gonna make me feel more comfortable. I don't know.
It's so weird. Like people will come out and be like, coronavirus is like the worst thing. It's destroying the country. And someone else will come, it's a huge hoax. And it's
Yeah.
like I don't. Who do you trust? No, it's like people don't trust anyone now. I just like don't watch the news.
Yeah, and also it's like humans, of course, aren't gonna be perfect, and they're always gonna like sway it to how they see it or how they want you to see it. So it's
Yeah.
like, how do you really like trust someone? Like, you have all these fact checkers and whatever, and who knows? I don't even know. Yeah, what truth is anymore. It's
Who
just crazy.
who's fact checking the fact checkers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to like have all that bull crap going on.
I found
Is this?
myself.
Go ahead.
I found myself in a really bad habit. I want something to be true, and so I will seek out the person that will tell me that that's true. Like
Right.
for example, on election, like I didn't know what to believe because it's like the two sides telling you such opposite things. So it's like I want to believe that the race isn't over yet, so I went and sought out like
Mhm.
a website that would tell me that, and that's a really bad way to find truth.
Right. I've
Like
done
for
the same.
no, it's crazy. Like for example, if like you can see this with Mormons and anti-Mormons, right? It's like if you're Mormon and you want to know the truth, you go Google what Mormons are saying is the truth. And if you're anti-Mormon, you go Google what anti-Mormons are saying. You don't just like try and get to the bottom of it, you just try and reinforce. You're looking for ammunition for your opinion. You're not actually looking for the truth.
Well, the tricky thing is like with this like election stuff. I At first I just googled like the like 2020 election results or whatever, and then it's just like the one that just pops up on Google, and it's like I don't know who to trust, but I'm gonna trust what way I'm leaning more towards. So then I'm gonna look up like, what states actually like aren't declared, and then it's like, the Google one would be like 290 votes for Biden, only 214 for Trump, and then you go to the which states aren't declared, and then it's like 234 for Trump, only 220 for Biden, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna believe this one because like I want to believe this one more, but I
Yeah.
really don't know which one is the truth. And then I always hear all this like, oh, the media just isn't telling the truth, which we've seen so many times that is true. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like you're like freaking, you've lost the iron rod, to put it in a Sabbath type setting. You're wandering in the foggy darkness.
And usually what happens is you just kind of throw your hands up and you're like, whatever. That's what I
You
usually do.
just said, I don't even care anymore. Yeah, I'm spending too much energy on this. Like, I guess I'll go to the gym now.
I guess I'll just go watch The Office again for the 100th time.
Yeah, that the office is truth. That is for sure.
The Office is my beacon in this tempest, you know?
Yes.
It's just like my
Yes.
lighthouse that I hold to. Um,
But,
yeah, I don't know. It is really, really weird, and it's hard because you like never really know what's true, and you don't have the time and the energy to like. People are always like, "Well, become informed." Like, okay, that's probably good advice for some things, but I can't go read through like 1,000 documents about climate change in order to make my opinion on that, and 1,000 documents on police brutality statistics, and 1,000 like there's shortcuts in your brain for a reason. um like for example, someone told you that uh like if you mix hot cocoa with hot water, you get hot chocolate, right? And you just believed that, and then you did it because someone with authority told you, and it said it on the package and whatever. Can you imagine if you had to like read through the chemical makeup of hot cocoa before you were willing to try it? Like, so much of what we understand is just because someone in authority told it to us, you
yeah,
know? Like
yeah,
it's just weird. Like even like the price of things, like that car is 30,000. I guess I'll just believe you because you're the car salesman. Or like, this milk is good for you. I guess I'll just believe you. Like who knows? Like we don't have the
Yeah.
time to become an expert on every single aspect of our life. So the whole get educated thing is kind of hard because, like, first off, how do you get educated? You could get a
Right.
biased source, and you can't
Right.
learn everything about everything,
Right. And then it's like, so what I think the best go-to thing would be is like, okay, we'll just look at the data of, coronavirus cases, for example. But then it's like, well, that's even skewed and opinionated. So it's like, what is like the ultimate truth? I don't know. It's because you see stuff that it's like coronavirus is up 2,000 in this county, deaths soar to 400,000. And then you see stuff that's like, oh, the CDC actually said that only 6% of those 200,000 were because of coronavirus. And it's like, wait, but the CDC last week said that 200,000 was the number, but now it's not. But I think another thing, it's like with like pretty much everything, we're just like way too arrogant and we think we know too much. And that's what gives us false truths. Like for climate change, for example, I don't even know how I feel about climate change. I mean, I love the environment. I love being outside. I love all that stuff. I totally think that um we should like, do our best to protect and conserve everything. Um but also it's like, well, during like the industrial revolution, we were blowing out CO2 like crazy, crazy. And we didn't see those spikes then, but somehow we're seeing them now. But is that to like sway people's political views? Is it actually real? Is it just a phase like that the earth is growing through? Which that's kind of what I think it is. It's just the earth has its phases just like anything else. Like there was an ice age, there was like worries about global cooling like in the 70s, there was worries about like an oil shortage, there was like all this stuff. And it's like, guys, just like everybody relax, try to do your best, and like for real, things are going to be fine. Just relax.
What I hate about it is when, like, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. I'm like, I don't really know enough about it, and I don't think we as a population know enough about it. I think there's a lot of people who are being a little too confident in their opinions.
I
Like,
totally.
there's people that are like, climate change is not real. Like, and everyone who says it's real is an idiot, and they're like trying to sway you, and you're like, wow, you seem very confident in that opinion. I guess I'll follow you. And then like
Yeah.
the other half are doing the same thing but in reverse. And like, and I think part of the problem with that is social media, because like in order to get attention, you need to like be confident, you need to be certain, you need to be like dramatic. And so like the
Yeah.
other half is like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that the world's going to end in 12 years. Like, that's a very confident thing. It's a very bold statement to just like throw out. Like, we only have 12 years. Everyone, like, put on your safety mask, get out of the house. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Like, we should be doing something. I don't know what that is. I do not consider myself educated, but
Yeah.
I am, like most people, kind of getting tired of people just telling me their dramatic, urgent
Yeah.
perspective and assuming I'll accept it as the only way that it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Like, I don't know. It's like, oh, look at this glacier. This glacier has receded this much. Okay, yeah, that's probably not very good. But then it's like, we never hear about the glaciers that have like grown the same amount. That's kind of offsetting it, which happens. Like it definitely happens. So it's just like, I don't know, just having like a narrow scope on things is like really pretty detrimental to
Yeah.
your your brain, your psyche.
Yeah, it's crazy. And especially like the truth is usually kind of boring. Like, you don't sell newspapers with the truth, you know? It's usually somewhere in the middle of like, yeah, hey, police brutality is a real thing, but we shouldn't get rid of all of the police. Somewhere in
Mhm.
between, like, there's no police brutality and we should have anarchy, lies the truth. But like, it's not very exciting to be like, half and half, like, which is usually the truth. The truth is there's a million different people. They all act in their own self-interest. They're all different. There's different cops. There's good ones. There's bad ones. There's different criminals that are more and less justified. There's different situations. There's racist cops, like all that. It's like, it's so complicated that when you say
Yeah.
the truth like that, it's hard to digest it simply and just be like, it's so much easier to just throw out like a sentence to be the truth, like, all cops are bad, or
Yeah.
no cops are bad. And
Yeah.
that's what social media is doing to us, is just like making things digestible in a meme so that we're not actually hearing the truth. We're just hearing a little bite-sized version so that we can become more, so we can save the post or like the post or reshare the post. It's just like, it's crazy.
Or like download it into your way of thinking, and then all of a sudden you're a little bit more like passionate or a little bit more caring or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or a little bit more into this hobby or like stuff like that.
Well, and the radical view on anything, or the passionate view on anything, is always shared more. It's always more interesting. It's always more sensational. Like,
Yeah.
how many flat earthers do you think there are, like, in the entire world? How many people do you think there really are that are
I
flat
know
earthers?
there's one right here.
Yeah, it makes two, my friend. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. Have
like
you ever seen the edge of the world? Duh, it's flat.
that's a good point.
But
Um,
like
yeah,
30,000? I don't know. There's like there's billions of people in the world, and there's like 30,000, I don't know, 100,000 that are making this huge stink. I mean, not anymore. Everyone knows flat earthers are dumb now. It's like kind of lost its steam. But at one
yeah.
time, they were like on TV. It's like,
Like Kyrie Irving, like a big name.
I know.
What? Did you watch that documentary on Netflix about flat earthers?
No, I should. That's
So
right up my alley.
good because it's hilarious. It's like crazy. It's so funny because they do all these experiments, and all the experiments say like, no, the Earth is definitely or like a sphere. And then they're like, oh, it must be because we calibrated this wrong, and there must have been something wrong with our experiment. It's so funny. And they buy like $10,000 lasers and like, oh, oh, we must have been off in our calculations. We'll have to do it again. Um,
Oh man,
but,
I watched a YouTube video about that one time actually. Yeah.
yeah, but spoiler alert. But basically, at least what I got from it was the more you watch it, the more you're just like, uh, well, it's just kind of like a social club that people want to be a part of. It's
Yeah.
not like the dude who started it, like one of the main guys. Even at the end, he kind of like admits it's like, well, if I didn't start this, I wouldn't have all these friends and like, this like kind of celebrity status. So I guess I'll just go with it now, even though like all these experiments we've done just prove it's BS. But I'm already stuck in this, and I don't want to lose all my friends and be known as like a fraud.
It's like a cult.
So exactly, yeah, flat earthers, dude.
I started a documentary the other day on Netflix about Scientology. Have you seen that one?
Oh, really? No, I haven't. I bet that's really interesting.
There's two. I started both of them, but I didn't finish either of them, ironically, because of a major diaper situation with my son.
Mm,
Um,
I have to change your diaper.
yeah, my diaper was just like too big, and I was like, dude, just change it for me. And then we ended up not finishing the documentary. Um, it was Leah Remini, I think is her name, and she
Okay.
was in Scientology for like decades. She's really famous. She's the mom in King of Queens. You ever watch that?
Oh, yeah.
I actually haven't seen it, but I know who she is. And she like was in it for like literally like 20 years, and she got out and was just talking about like all the like abuse and the brainwashing and um the hoaxes, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy that, like, how simple are we as a species to like, we like, and I'm actually saying this to everyone, including myself, like, I fall for stuff so easy, you know?
Right.
Just like we just like believe crap just because like it has pretty music playing, or because like, like Ken Griffey Jr.'s on the cover telling us we should buy it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's kind of weird. Even like, I don't know. stuff within the church, I feel like my growing up, it was like in a church setting, it's like, well, if you question why we believe this certain thing about our religion, then it's like you must have done something bad, or that's Satan telling you that, or whatever. When it's like, as I got older, it's like, well, no, like I need to ask myself these questions so I can really see if it's true. That's not because I'm wicked that I like have these questions, which is like, yeah, that's not a good way to go about it.
No. And it's unfortunately a lot of that stuff is very ingrained in you by the time you're old enough to realize you can ask questions, like you grew up thinking you couldn't. And then by the time you're an adult and you're like, wait, I can do whatever I want. Then you're like, oh
Yeah,
shoot, I already am like, programmed to think that way.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
It's scary stuff, man. The like another world that's kind of like this, that's scary, the more you learn about it, is marketing. Like
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. Like for example, if someone was to tell you certain companies and you were to respond with how you think of that company,
yeah,
it's crazy the response, how consistent it is across different people that have never used the product. You know, like
yeah,
what's that? I don't know how to say it. Tag Heuer, is that it? The watch that Tiger.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That's just the first one I thought of, right? Or Rolex or something like that. You're like,
Yeah,
what do you think of? And you think of like Tiffany's, like think of like, wow, like really high class. Like if I saw someone wearing that, it'd be like, wow, they're so rich, they're so cool, they're so high status, whatever. It's weird. Like I've never ever even seen one in real life. Like I don't have one. I don't know any of the good qualities. Like I don't know how much it costs. It's just like someone's been telling me in 30-second ads for the past 10 years. It's like, this means you're rich. This means you're
yeah.
rich. And then I just believe it.
Towards this, you should be getting this. Also, that makes me think of like, I don't know, just how like crazy psychology is, and it's really interesting and super powerful.
Oh yeah.
But for like my first basic psychology class at UVU, we talked about Freud a lot because he's one of the big time psychologists. And I remember like his whole thing is like based on like people are just like really sexual, and like they they do things just to get like sexual gratification or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
um which, and I remember hearing that and I was like, oh, that's like disgusting, like that's what a perv, like why would he think that? But like getting older, I'm like, well, yeah, I want to like make money so I can get and like look attractive so I can like get a cute wife so a cute wife can give me cute kids. Like that's what's like what's fueling why I want to go to school and why I want to get a good job and why I want to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know, it makes it it seems like it really like dumbs humans down to be like, oh, this is all I need, I'm doing all of this just for this. But it's like kind of true in a way, which is really weird to say that.
And I think the more you kind of embrace the fact that that's true, you actually do better. Like you if you realize that that's true, then you have an advantage. Like people that are like, no, like if you try to fight human nature, is what I'm saying, it doesn't help. Like there's a lot of movements and companies and stuff like that that are trying to like attract what you should want rather than what you actually want. Like a company will come out and say like, hey, buy my t-shirt because every dollar that you spend, 50 cents of it is going to go save those worms from the kids in Tunisia or whatever. We're saving the worms for later. Now,
Yeah.
like some good cause, and they think, we actually learned about this in my marketing class. The company like thinks that you'll want to buy that because it's like a good cause and you should want to help. But
Hmm.
in reality, you end up just buying the shirt that like looks good or makes girls like you or makes you look cool. Those companies fail is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's super weird to think about that.
Yeah, we're just like We're just like a meat, just like this
Yeah,
meat
a walking meat stick, like blah, 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 blah.
meat suit that's just like it's just like food and like
Women. Oh, my
women,
son, my
food,
kids.
popsicles.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
we're pretty
Yeah,
simple.
pretty simple. Um, I gotta start getting ready for church, but dude, thanks for zooming, man.
Dude,
We should
always.
more often just to chat.
Yeah, hit me up. I haven't even been recording this whole time. It was just a trick into talking to me finally.
Or you got me, dude.
Just tricked another friend into being my friend.
There we go. Sweet.
All
Okay,
right,
well,
man. Well, have fun at
is Jay,
church.
is Jay anywhere close?
Oh yeah. Let me grab. I'll be so fast because you're gonna want to see him. He's in the other room.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah. So they both fell asleep in our bed. I guess they hate the podcast or something because they couldn't stay awake to listen to it. But whatever.
It's a family podcast. That's so rude.
What are they thinking? But yeah, he's gone. So
Also, I just remembered I had a little trouble like hooking up to on the Zoom. But before I was totally gonna have my shirt off and be like, oh, I had no idea, but I struggled hooking it up anyway. So
yeah, you
pretend
should have.
next time.
Next
Like,
time you should like have a screen that's like a picture of Hitler or something. And you're like, or like animals doing it, and you're like, oh,
oh, that's for mom.
oh, sorry, yeah, she loves that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right, dude. Well, have a lovely Sabbath.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on.
Of course, we'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.